I'm here with my favorite stamper, Judi from Judi Kins, and she's going to teach us how to make a save the date just in time for wedding season.
The way that I started this card was I printed out from my computer a save the date with the calendar on it. And I'm going to paint over this to make it look like wood. But if I paint the whole thing brown, it's going to look brown.
Right.
So I wanted this area to kind of pop, and I thought if I use a little bit of wax, it'll resist the paint. So this is Judi Kins microglaze, and it's a paste wax. And you just put a little bit on your finger, just a real small amount of it.
I never knew that's what microglaze was.
Yeah, it's really neat. It kind of protects the paper. It seals it from, like, you know, spills, water, paint. If you end up sitting your coffee mug down and it kind of gets on there. Now, what you want to do is you don't want to leave all that wax on there.
Okay.
You need to buff off any excess.
You didn't even put that much on.
You really don't need that much. That's what it's kind of micro fine. So you just buff that off.
Microglaze, got it.
Microglaze, yeah. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint it. So I've got some of my Martha Stewart sateen paint here. And I'm going to mix, this is going to sound a little crazy, I'm going to mix a little brown with the green. And when you do that, it makes the brown look a little bit more realistic.
A little more woodsy.
A little bit more woodsy, kind of more olivey.
Oh, I like it.
Okay. And I'm actually going to dip my brush in a smidge of water here just to thin it out a little bit because I want to see some of the translucency on the paper. So I just kind of paint like this, just back and forth.
Okay, so I see you have a really light touch.
Light touch, and kind of straight lines.
Yeah, because you want it to look wood grainy.
You want it to look like wood. And a little bit more here. And don't worry if you cover up all the letters and everything because it actually...
It's a really neat effect.
It's really transparent. Yeah. So, okay, so I've got my color on there. Then I'm going to take my paper towel again, and while the paint is still a little wet, I'm going to buff off.
Okay, gotcha.
And see how it makes it look a little bit weathered and rustic?
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
Then you're going to let that dry.
Okay.
And it dries really fast. So while that's drying, I'm going to work on my next piece of paper here. And that is this bluish, greenish colored paper, which I've taken my mica gloss. And mica gloss is a mica metallic paint, or excuse me, a mica metallic ink.
Okay.
And what I did was I brayered it all over this card.
Okay.
And what's great about it is that it gives this card kind of a sheen. And this is going to be the perfect paper that I'm going to make my dragonfly.
It is a perfect looking paper for dragonflies.
So the way that I did that was I took this paper after it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to dry.
Okay.
So maybe we should set that aside for a minute.
Okay.
While it's drying, and then we'll work on the next embellishment, which is the flowers.
Perfect.
The next thing that I did is I used the Makin's air dry clay to make the flower and the leaf. And what I did was I took the roller and I rolled out the clay as thin as I could get it.
It's almost paper thin.
It's practically paper thin. And then I used the clay cutters to cut out the flower and the leaf.
Yeah, they have a whole great set with all different flowers and spring stuff.
Oh, it's so cute. They've got a bunny rabbit in there. They've got a little chickie,
and a birdie.
It's so cute. It's really, really cute. So once I cut out the flower's kind of cute, but you know, it was just a little bit plain. And I wanted it a little more dimensional. So what I did was I cut it with a pair of scissors.
So smart.
And you just cut down to the center.
Okay.
Now, you're going to die laughing at this, but you're never going to believe this. There's a little hole, teeny tiny little hole at the tip of the cap.
Only Judi would see this.
And if you push down with the cap, like so, on the wet clay,
It makes a perfect center.
it makes the perfect center for the flower. It just gives it that little bit of added dimension. And then what I did was I took the damp clay and I just kind of molded it to just give it some dimension, and then let the whole thing dry.
And I see you did the same to the leaf. You just made it more
Exactly.
leaf-looking.
And I just took a little, Makins has a little tool, and I just aligned it to make it look like the veins on the leaves.
And then you just let that dry overnight.
I let this dry overnight. Now it's ready to paint. Now you can see here I'm just painting the leaves with the Martha Stewart
craft paint.
paint, and this is the yellow here. Just kind of keep painting there. And I wanted to add a little bit of the pink in the center. So it's great. It's water-based, so you just clean it up. Oh,
That's the funniest pink I have ever
that was
seen.
that was the leaf color. Here's the pink, and you just pick up a little bit of the pink and just kind of paint that right in the center.
Perfect.
And this dries really fast. It's going to be dry in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then I continue on here with the leaf. You do the same thing. This is where I was picking up the green. And paint some of that green
Perfect.
paint on there.
And then when we come back, we're going to do some stamping.
Yep. My fun thing.
Let's get stamping.
So, take your stamp here, and I kind of wanted it to look like carved wood.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd use this chestnut brown ink, and I just stamp my image. So this is love.
And I see you're going right over the edge.
I'm going over the edge, so it kind of looks like
Real
it's
background paper.
it's a real background paper, or it's a real piece of wood that we're just taking a tight photo of it. Now, while I'm going to clean off some of that brown ink, and then I'm going to use the white. And this is kind of a funny technique. Most people are a little nervous about this, but if you're really careful, you can just line it up. And I can kind of see the edge of my stamp here, and I stamp right over the top. And if you're close, it looks like
shadow.
it looks dimensional. That one's a little bit off, but
It's okay.
here we go.
Oh, perfect.
And you just continue that with the love stamp, and then we've got hugs and kisses here, because everybody likes to give hugs and kisses on an anniversary or birthday or
wedding
or something. And the best part,
I know, I love this little part.
the best part is the little heart here.
Got rid of your red ink.
I'm going to take my heart and be really careful, and I'm going to stamp it right here on the 27th, because that's the date that we want everybody to save. Now, next thing is let's add the embellishments to the card.
Okay. Now it's time for our final finishing touches.
Finishing touches here. So we're going to add the embellishments. Now, I'm using the Beacons 527 glue on the back of my flower and my leaf, and I just glued it on there. And the last piece is this cute little dragonfly, which I cut out of the Sizzix.
Oh, and your paper.
And the paper. And it's the Sizzix little dragonfly here.
Dragonfly.
It's a dragonfly. It's not a butterfly, sorry. And just used my Sophisticut and ran that little die through. And look at how cute this little...
It is really cute.
And he's kind of shimmery, and he really looks like a dragonfly.
I know, it's perfect. Now, I want to put this on my refrigerator, so how am I going to do that?
Oh, that's the perfect thing, because how many times have you lost the date because you've lost that little card? This is the greatest thing. It's a self-adhesive magnet.
Oh, you actually have two of them here.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here. You
There
can
we
take
go.
the other one. Okay, so you peel off the
These pro
the backing,
magnets are really cool.
just like this, and then you take your card and lay it right over the top and just stick it right on, and away you go. Now when your friends get their invitation or their save the date card, then they can just put it right on their refrigerator.
And you just would trim off any excess.
Exactly.
And I think, Judi, this is actually a really great project for all the bridesmaids, you come over
Yep.
one afternoon and knock these
Oh,
all
that
out.
would be so much fun.
The only thing is if you are sending in the mail, you got to go to the post office. They're going to weigh a little bit more on postage, but it'll be worth it when they get home.
Absolutely.
Judi, thank you so much for this Save the Date.
You're welcome.
We hope you've enjoyed When Creativity Knocks.
All-Star Designers Spring Series.
Like us on Facebook, pin us on Pinterest, and follow us on Twitter.
And don't forget, sign up on our website to receive our weekly newsletter, and you're eligible to win one of the weekly prize boxes full of products from all of our series sponsors.